At the heart of spiritual warfare, there are lies that infiltrate minds and hearts. The devil, crafty and deceptive, seizes every opportunity to sow doubts and fears. Imagine a scenario where you are surrounded by voices whispering, "You are not good enough," or "No one cares about you." These lies, if accepted, can create a chasm between you and divine truth. But what if these ideas are not who you really are? What if, instead of surrendering, you could discover the strength that resides within you? Each lie is an invitation for reflection. Each wicked whisper can be confronted with the light of truth. What happens when you decide to unmask these illusions? The journey of faith involves recognizing and challenging these fallacies. By doing so, you not only free yourself, but also empower yourself. Get ready to explore the depth of these lies and how they manifest in our daily lives. With each step, a new revelation. With each discovery, a lit path. Stay attentive, for this journey of unmasking deception is just beginning. The first lie is that you are not enough. Many people live with the feeling that they are not enough. They believe they have no worth, or that they are unworthy of love and acceptance. This belief can stem from past experiences, such as criticism from family members or rejection from friends. Over time, this idea becomes an internal truth, difficult to contest. The result? A cycle of insecurity that affects relationships and self-esteem. When someone feels insufficient, they may end up distancing themselves from the people they love. This distancing is a protective mechanism. The person thinks, "If I don't open up, I won't be rejected." Thus, they isolate themselves, believing it is better to be alone than to risk being belittled. But this loneliness only reinforces the belief that they are unworthy of love. Moreover, this idea of inadequacy can lead to constant comparisons with others. Looking at social media, for example, it's easy to feel inferior. The images of perfect lives and others' achievements make a person feel even more inadequate. This comparison is toxic and often unfair, as no one shows the challenges they face. The good news is that it's possible to change this internal narrative. Recognizing that everyone has their imperfections and that this is normal is the first step. Each person has their own value, and this does not diminish because of their flaws. Personal acceptance is a long journey, but it can bring a new perspective on oneself. Ultimately, understanding that you deserve love and respect, regardless of your imperfections, is liberating. Everyone has their own intrinsic value, and by embracing this, we can build healthier and more authentic relationships. The journey of self-worth begins when we decide to treat ourselves with the same kindness we offer to others. Another lie is that God doesn't care about you. The feeling that God is distant is a reality for many. Believing that He doesn't care about your struggles or needs is an idea that can be devastating. In times of difficulty, it's common to question divine presence. Why doesn't God answer my prayers? This doubt can create a spiritual void. This disconnection can be even more intense when a person faces crises of faith. Life's difficulties can lead to a sense of abandonment, as if God is watching from afar. This view can create a cycle of despair, where the person feels increasingly alone on their journey. The lack of immediate answers may seem like confirmation that there is no divine interest in their life. The truth is that, even in times of pain, many people find comfort and strength in faith. The idea that God cares can be difficult to accept, especially when things aren't going well. However, various spiritual traditions teach that the divine presence is not measured solely by miraculous interventions, but also by the love and support we receive from others. Recognizing that God can manifest through the actions and people around us can change this perspective. Often, we find help and comfort in friends, family, or even strangers. These gestures can be seen as a way for God to care, even if we don't immediately realize it. Ultimately, the belief that God cares can be cultivated over time. Through prayer, meditation, or reflection, it is possible to create a space to feel this connection. Being open to this presence can bring peace and a sense of purpose, even in the most difficult situations. One of the most dangerous lies is that sin has no consequences. The idea that wrong choices have no consequences is an illusion that many embrace, but it can be extremely harmful. This view can lead to irresponsible behavior, where a person believes that their actions do not affect themselves or others. The reality, however, is quite different. When someone ignores the consequences of their actions, they can end up harming themselves in the long run. For example, procrastinating responsibilities or making impulsive decisions may seem harmless at first, but over time, it can lead to serious financial or relational problems. The lack of reflection on choices can create a cycle of difficulties that worsen over time. Moreover, this belief can affect how we relate to others. If someone believes that what they do has no impact, they may become selfish, disregarding the feelings and needs of others. This can harm friendships and even family relationships, creating an environment of distrust and hurt. On the other hand, recognizing that our choices have consequences can be liberating. This awareness allows us to act more responsibly and attentively, promoting a more balanced and healthy lifestyle. By reflecting on how our actions influence the world around us, we can become more empathetic and conscious. It is important to remember that we all make mistakes. What really matters is the learning we gain from them. By facing the consequences of our choices, we have the opportunity to grow and become better people. Accepting this reality is a sign of maturity and self-awareness. Another lie is that truth is relative. Many people believe that truth is something flexible, that changes depending on who is telling it. This idea that there is no absolute truth can be quite seductive, especially in a world where everyone has their own opinion. It's easy to think that everyone can create their own morality, but this can lead to a chaotic set of values that cannot be sustained. When everything is relative, it becomes difficult to know what is truly right or wrong. If you stop to think, this notion can generate complicated situations. Imagine a group of people trying to reach a consensus on an issue. If each person has their own version of the truth, how will they find a solution? Deep down, this idea that truth varies from person to person can leave us lost and without direction. Without a solid foundation, what guarantees that we are making the right decisions? Furthermore, this belief can lead to a disinterest in the pursuit of knowledge. If everything is relative, why complicate things by studying and learning? This can cause people to become passive, accepting any information without questioning it. The lack of a clear criterion for evaluating what is true and what is not can generate distrust and confusion. In this sense, it is important to remember that there are universal principles that transcend personal opinions. The truth can be challenging, but it is essential for building healthy relationships and a just society. By recognizing that there are truths that can be shared, we open up space for richer and more meaningful dialogue. Ultimately, it is worth reflecting on how this belief in relative truth impacts our lives. If everyone starts to believe that their truths are the only ones that matter, how will we fare? The search for a truth that unites rather than divides is a challenge, but it is a path worth taking. Another lie that many people believe is that you are alone in your problems. Often, we feel as though we are facing our problems alone. The belief that our struggles are unique and that no one can understand what we are going through is quite common. When we are immersed in difficulties, it is easy to think that we are the only ones facing such challenges. This feeling of isolation can be a tremendous burden, making everything even harder. However, the truth is that we all face difficulties at some point in life. Pain, suffering, and struggles are part of the human experience. Sometimes we just need a listening ear or someone willing to share their own stories. When we open up to others, we realize that we are not so alone after all. Often, finding a support group or talking to someone can make a big difference. It is interesting to note how technology, although it has its downsides, can also help in this regard. There are online communities and support groups that bring together people going through similar situations. Sharing experiences and listening to others can show us that our struggles are more common than we think. This connection can bring relief and even new perspectives on our problems. On the other hand, the belief that we are alone can prevent us from seeking help. Pride or fear of appearing vulnerable can keep us trapped in a cycle of loneliness. By recognizing that we are not alone, we can take the first step toward the healing and support we so desperately need. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of courage. Finally, when we understand that we are not alone, we can develop empathy for others. This helps us build deeper and more meaningful relationships. Dealing with our challenges doesn't have to be a solitary journey. Together, we can find strength and hope. Finally, the lie that change is impossible. Many people carry the belief that change is something beyond their reach. They look at their lives and feel stuck in a routine that seems endless. This feeling of stagnation can be suffocating. It's as if a heavy cloud is always hovering over their heads, making any attempt at change feel futile. The idea that nothing will change can be paralyzing and often leads to a state of apathy. When someone believes that change is impossible, they end up resigning themselves to the situation. This resignation can create a vicious cycle where the person feels increasingly demotivated to seek improvements. For example, instead of looking for a new job or learning a new skill, they prefer to stay in an uncomfortable position, believing there is no other way out. The lack of hope for a better future can become an emotional prison, limiting possibilities for growth. Moreover, this belief can affect relationships. Often, people feel unable to change behaviors that negatively impact their interactions. This can lead to misunderstandings and hurt feelings. For example, someone who struggles with communication may feel they will never be able to express their feelings effectively, resulting in distance and loneliness. This perception that change is not feasible can turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, it is important to recognize that change, although challenging, is not impossible. Many stories of overcoming show that, even in the most difficult situations, it is possible to find a way out. The first step is to believe that change is, in fact, an option. This can be done through small daily actions that, accumulated over time, can lead to significant transformations. The key is to take the first step, whether by seeking professional help, talking to friends, or setting realistic goals. Finally, change requires patience and perseverance. No one transforms overnight, and it is natural to encounter obstacles along the way. The important thing is to maintain a positive mindset and be open to opportunities. Every small progress is a victory, and believing in the possibility of change is fundamental to breaking the cycle of despair. When a person starts to see that they can make a difference in their life, hope begins to blossom, and the horizon is illuminated with new possibilities. As we explore these 6 lies that the devil wants you to believe, it is crucial to remember that the truth always prevails. Have you ever stopped to think about how these lies can affect your daily life? They can undermine your faith and cloud your vision of God. But here's the good news. The truth of God is powerful. When you encounter doubt, how have you reacted? Remember, the Word of God is a shield. In moments of weakness, Seek the Lord's promises and allow them to strengthen your spirit. You can choose to believe in the truth that sets you free. And what if, instead of accepting these lies, you start declaring God's truths over your life? What would change in your heart and mind? Reflect on this, and do not underestimate the power of renewing your mind. So, before we wrap up, how about sharing in the comments how you have been dealing with these lies? What verse has been helping you? Together, we can strengthen our faith and support each other in this journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more messages that uplift your spiritual life. Let's embark on this journey of faith together.